My fellow Ambalanders, I come to you this morning not with any good news, but to tell you that, like everyone else, my heart aches, that we've been touched to the core, and that we as a people shall pull through this. I come to you not with questions, but I come to you with some details about what I know about what went on or what is going on, because I've asked a lot of questions like a lot of people, and I've come to some conclusions. The Nigerian government did not arrest our people. The Nigerian government is as embarrassed as us that one of us will arrange for our people to be picked up in Nigeria. If the Nigerian government had orchestrated this arrest, they would have arrested a lot more people than just this few. The Nigerian government knows where all our southern Cameroonian leaders are in Nigeria. The Nigerian government can pick all of them as we speak and send back to La Republique if the Nigerian government was the one that orchestrated this. They are equally embarrassed. Milan Atam should tell us where our leaders are. When our leaders were adopted, Milan came online the very next day after he had woke up from his slumber, which he claimed he was sleeping, and said this. Their plan was for them to be taken directly to La Republique. And the question to Mr. Atam is, you claim to not have known about this meeting. You claim that you came late. But yet you knew the plan was to take them to La Republique. How did you, Milan, know that the plan was to take them to La Republique? You said it in your own words. Milan Atam gave away our leaders. When Mangang made the first audio, she claimed that she did not know about this meeting. That Sisiko called her, that Sisiko said don't come. But yet, she said her security informed her not to go. My people, our leaders were sold to La Republique du Cameroon. Prior to this meeting in Nigeria, I want to tell you that there are people within La Republique government, Francophones, who do not like what is going on in southern Cameroon. And so every now and then, one of them will sneak out some information to say to us, be careful. We had an information of Milan meeting with La Republique government members in South Africa. I, Alex Mbianda, personally took that information to Chris Anu. And I said to Chris Anu, make sure you inform Sisiko to not go to any meeting. And it's particularly arranged by Milan. And Chris Anu said Milan is not a member of the government, let alone organizing a meeting that people will be going to. And I spoke very strongly to tell Sisiko to not go to any meetings. I did not have specifics. If somebody gives you information in intelligence, what you do with it is to look left and right, tie your ends, make sure nothing goes wrong, because you don't know where the blows will be coming from. If I tell you that I knew the plan, then I'm lying to you. But we had information that Milan was meeting with La Republique. When we went to the fourth conclave, they attempted to get me and Harriet Mfomuki into a car and drive us over the border. It took 4 hours at the same hotel where our leaders were adopted to get the two of us into a car that would drive over to the border. When we went to the fourth conclave, a secret agent from La République government was sitting in the conclave as a guest of Milan. And they wouldn't let in John Ba Akoro. They wouldn't let in Mark Barata. They wouldn't let in, yes, Chris Anu and a host of others, because they knew that if they came in, they would recognize this person and raise an alarm. Now, the very guy whom Milan claimed is the one who called him and told him that somebody called to say they have been adopted, is the same guy who, Gina, who was working with Enes to get us into a car as Milan had arranged. 4 hours and they did not succeed. What saved me in the end was the ability that I understand different languages. I was able to pick in Hausa when the guy was arranging for the driver to pick other people on the way who will be the one that will know the road where he is taking us to. That's when I knew. Then I turned around and I spoke to Napoleon from Canada. When you are a people's person, people will always be there for you. I looked at Napoleon in his eyes and I said, no matter what happened, don't let go of me. And Napoleon stayed with me. Harriet Mfomuki, whom they've tarnished her image, her name, as much as they can, joined the other team, and they were going and they got to the road and she stopped. She told the driver she wanted to eat. When the driver stopped, she came out of the car and she decided, I'm not going. We cannot leave our compatriots behind and go without them. That is when I was rescued. Yes, we have some of our members in Boston who are claiming that this did not happen. And you know why? Because Milan had promised them position. When we were in the fourth conclave, my counterpart from Boston all along was sitting next to Milan and wouldn't move an inch, because this is how Milans operate. He tapped onto the weak minds. When he came to Boston, Milan suddenly picked who was to lead in Boston and started communicating with them. So, and this is a group that was the heart call of this movement, and he tore it apart. Milan went to Follyhawk and tried to see how Follyhawk could be dysfunctional. Milan, when he came to Boston, our famous Harriet Mfomuki that they have been talking about all along, yes, this is a woman who stands behind her words. This is a treasurer in charge of your money. This is the person who've kept your money to the last dime and nothing has ever happened. The only person who've gone to her and tried to tweak her into taking money is Milan. Milan, after he did not succeed, on November 2nd, they diverted all the money that comes into Skapak's account to a place that we do not know. So right now, as we speak, no dime, if you are contributing any money for the law firm, for the movement, it is going to an unknown account. Only Milan knows where that money goes. And the webmaster, coming back to adopting our leaders, I want to address the issue very critically. When Milan got to the hotel, our leaders were not there, as he claimed. He went to bed and slept. Why will you come to a meeting, Mr. Milan Atam? A meeting, you know that when we hold such meetings, it usually goes for into the weirdest hour of the morning before we can stop. And you did not see people, and you claimed that you thought they were drinking somewhere in the restaurant and you were tired and you went to bed. You waited more than 24 hours to come to us to say that our leaders were gone. And then in your video, Mr. Atam, you said the plan was to take them across the border immediately they were captured. Yet, you claim that you did not know about the meeting and about the adoption. But then, how did you know that they were supposed to be taken across the border immediately? And now, you were talking about they have been captured by the Nigerian Secret Service. But yet, you said you were going to stay in Nigeria until they are freed. My fellow Ambalandas, Milan set up this meeting surgically, chronologically, and yes, left some people out, the people that asked the tough questions. I spoke to Chris Anu, and Chris told me that he did not know about this meeting. How can a meeting be taking place? Milan claimed that he did not know about this meeting, but yet he told us about the agenda. And then the Secretary of Communication, Chris Anu, does not know about the meeting. Tell me. Sisiko was alleged to have wanting to apply for asylum in Washington. That is when Milan quickly took him out because he knew that if Sisiko applied for asylum, he wouldn't be able to leave the country. And so that is when he quickly arranged for everybody to be at the meeting. Mangan claimed that she did not know about the meeting. Suddenly she came back to say it was Sisiko. Then she said when she called and they were not answering the phone, she immediately called Milan to alert Milan to not go because they have been adopted. How did she, Mangan, know that these people have not shut off their phone and they are holding a meeting into the late night? How did she, Mangan, know that they have adopted them to be calling Milan to tell Milan not to go because there is imminent danger? Mangan this morning said, women of this movement will not let anybody hijack leadership. Mangan is no leader. Mangan, yes, talked of the women. Mangan is not a woman for this movement. Mangan is a devil in this movement that knows about the adoption of our leaders, and she comes in women's clothing. We are heartbroken, but we will not let the like of Mangan and Milan hold us back. These have only made me to be very, very committed to this movement. When Nelson Mandela was taken, the people of South Africa vowed that they will not stop until the rest of South Africa is liberated. And this is what I am equally pledging to you today. I may not get there with you, but if anything does happen to me, I want you to know that that is a price I am willing to pay for. I speak for the mother who was traveling to Nigeria, very, very pregnant, and had the baby in the forest and bled to death. And they took her baby to the refugee camp. I have raised money for those babies. I speak for the mama in Kwakwa village that the La République terrorists burned down her house. The soldiers of La République burned down her house, and because she could not come out, she was burned to death. I speak for her. I speak for that voiceless child who cannot go to school because La République government is stopping them as they go with guns on the highways. And I speak on your behalf about this adoption. Milan Atam told us that his flight was delayed by 2 hours and he was stopped in traffic by 1 hour. I want to say this. The car that Milan was driving, and the car was being driven by Guinea, and mark you, Guinea again is the same guy who was arranging to put me in a car that will be driven to the border in Nigeria with Ernest. Now, He said his car was delayed by an hour by the police. The reason was the car did not have a license plate. Why would Guinea go to pick Milan at the airport with a car that didn't have a license plate? If they did not have a secondary plan. The plan, yes, was that they were going to escape with the car, that nobody would be able to tell what the license plate was. That's why they were pulled over. How did I get this information? Look, in this movement, there are people that knows people. How did I know that there was a secret agent in our meeting in Abuja? Look, immediately the conclave, the next day, I had a call from La Republique telling me of what happened on the floor of the conclave, even before social media started speculating. Milan, yes, your flight delayed by 2 hours. When he said this, and I asked for Milan's itinerary, you will realize that Mangan came out very fast and did another audio in which she said, Milan works for United Nations and he does his own business, so he already had a plan to go to Nigeria. Mangan said this because I, Alex Mbianda, had asked for Milan to produce his traveling schedule from South Africa to Nigeria. Since they knew that Milan was already in Nigeria and was lying that his flight delayed, they wanted to cover up so that if they do give us that flight plan, it will be showing that he, Milan, came before and it's because he had his own business in Nigeria. Whereas Milan said his flight came late. Milan, give us your check-in documents from South Africa to Nigeria and we will tell you that it's wrong. You waited 24 hours plus and you claim that Nigerian government adopted our people, but yet you did not run away. When we asked the question why they did not adopt you after you were there, you came back on a video and said you heard a gentleman screaming. These are all lies. In Nigeria, where I went, and in that hotel in particular, there is no way they wanted to take Milan, they wouldn't take him. Because it is gated. They are very, very professional. And yes, if they wanted to take our leaders in Nigeria, they would have done so, including Mangan, because they know where all of them are, including today that we speak. So why would Nigerian government choose to pick just a few and give to La Republique and then not pick the rest? Mark you, we have a lot more leaders in Nigeria than you can think. But they are roaming around freely. So the Nigerian government was simply embarrassed. The territory of Nigeria was used in kidnapping our people, arranged by Milan. Chris Anu was fooled to go to Nigeria. Before Chris went to Nigeria, one of us, a lady, had called Chris and told Chris, I have credible information that these people were already in Yaoundé. Chris wanted hot evidence, and she did not give it to him. I spoke to Chris, and Chris wanted hot evidence, and I did not give it to him. And even if I did have it, I wouldn't give it, because the way this movement is working, when we were in Nigeria, Chris was going to come out and do a documentary about everything that happened. And when Sisiko heard about this, they quickly put Chris in the government so he couldn't speak. My people, this is not a thing about leadership. It is a thing about talking on behalf of the voiceless, and I will continue to do that. There will never be a day that I will turn my back on the people of Southern Cameroon because somebody is saying Alex Mbianda this, Alex Mbianda that. I will not do that. And if they come for me, I want you to continue to fight to the last man, to fight until you get to the foot of Mount Cameroon. Because when you get to the foot of Mount Fako in Amberland, it will be standing there. and saying to you, welcome home. My people, these are tough times, but I want you to be tougher. I want you to work as if you are the lone child. I want you to say, yes, they have taken our leaders, but Issa Choroma will hear from us. Issa Choroma is a crook. When he ran to Nigeria, John Frundi brought him back. And Biya quickly brought him into the government, and he started speaking the way he has been talking to us. When Milan will be given a position, he will equally speak the Foshive language and the Issa Choroma language. I am going to get into the bottom of this. I am committed to seeing that we get to Buea. I urge you to not forget our refugees in Nigeria. I urge you to not forget our people in Ambaland. I urge you to stand up, because if you can speak, the people of the Ambaland can survive. I urge you to keep walking, because if you can walk, the people of Ambaland will be liberated. I urge you to not relent, because if you do, La République will install themselves in our territory and call us shithole country. We are not. Self-determination is a thing that comes from within, not from without. And so, my fellow Southern Cameroonians, although we've been betrayed by Mangang and Milan Atam, our conscience, our strength, our resolve, our emotions, and our focus is Buea. Let nobody fool you. No government in the world have ever won against its people in a war. France, that stands behind La République, should be telling La République better stories than this. I am heartbroken. My bones are strong. My muscles are strong. We shall dig. We shall walk. We shall scream. We shall scream for the freedom of our people. We will not be given the freedom, but we will be taking the freedom. I urge every single one of you from today till the day that we shall get to Buea to work as a lone child. But when you do, don't go alone. Watch your back. I know I want to speak to Milan surrogates. Most of you are being promised positions of leadership. If it was leadership, I would promise all of you leadership. But it's not leadership that I'm going to promise you. I promise you a free country. And that is what I am going to fight for. When you live in the free country, you are a leader at all times in your life. And this is what we want Southern Cameroons to be. We want Southern Cameroon to be that place where, as you come out of the airplane, the police and the immigration officer that receives you will look at you in your eyes and says, welcome home. Not to a key. You will hear the word, welcome home. And as the pilot is going around that strong mountain that even a volcano cannot bring down, you will hear the word, ladies and gentlemen, in a few minutes, we'll be touching down in Tico International Airport, where everything lives free or die. I salute you, the people of Ambaland. Milan Atam betrayed us. He will not betray the movement, nor he will stop our movement. Thank you very much.